What's going on, Omnibuddies? Mitch here, and today we are doing another Omnibuddy overview. What are we looking at? We are looking at the latest publication from Dark Horse Comics by Jeff Lemire and artist Jock. We are looking at Snow Angels. All right, so I have been waiting for, it seems like forever, to be able to finally read Snow Angels by Jeff Lemire and Jock. And oh man, I was so excited to get this. And you know what, when I first got it, I was expecting like these smaller Dark Horse comic size, like the deluxe edition sizes, you know, like BPRD and Hellboy, those smaller, you know, trim sizes that are more like premiere hardcover editions. I was not expecting anything near this scale because it's a library edition and it is friggin' awesome. Great bind, all that. Yeah. So I went in this completely blind. I had no idea what the story was about. I didn't even really look too closely at the art. I mean, it's Jock and his art is just always amazing. So why even have to check out the art? And it's Lemire for story on story. I mean, even Lemire on art, I don't care what it's gonna, I don't even have to see what it's gonna look like because Lemire's art's great too. But Lemire on story, Jock on art, you can't go wrong. So I went into this book completely blind. So you know what? Let's find out a little bit more about this book. Snow Angels is an oversized library edition published by Dark Horse. It is by creators Jeff Lemire with Jock on art. And this book is absolutely massive. It is gorgeous. It has black metallic gilding on the edges of the pages. I have never seen black metallic, and it is so freaking awesome. You gotta see this in person. It is so hard to get a good shot and good footage of black metallic gilding, but there it is, and it is awesome. As always, I gotta talk about end sheets, if they do art on the end sheets of books, and this has some nice red and white snow, which is kind of a giveaway for some of the story plot points. So that is all I'll say. This book collects the entirety of the Snow Angels series, book 1 and book 2, so it is in 2 halves, and it does move along. I sat and read this in its entirety in about, I believe, 2 hours in one afternoon, and it was a glorious read sitting in front of my fireplace, nice and toasty warm, ironically, for with this book and what it's dealing with people always cold and always in the snow. So Snow Angels follows a family of 3, a father and his 2 daughters, Pa, and we have the 2 daughters, May and Milliken. It starts off with them on a hunt in what is called the trench, and that is apropos because it is a giant ice trench, and they are ice skating down this trench on this hunt looking for food. And like 2 younger sisters, a 12-year-old and her much younger sister, who are bickering and arguing and teasing and making fun of each other, and the father having to deal with trying to keep his kids in line. I do not at all relate to this with 3 daughters. At all. And I do have to say it is awesome to see Jeff Lemire. It seems like almost every book he does, he can somehow fit hockey or ice skating into it nearly every time. And of course, that is the main mode of transportation in this book, is ice skating down this trench. These girls are being brought up, being taught the 3 rules of the trench in order to survive, which includes rule number 1, the trench always provides. Rule number 2, you must never ever leave the trench. And rule number 3, the trench never ends. And throughout this book, they're going to explore the truths behind that, if they are true, if they're lies, how they're true, how they're not. It's going into all of that, and then finding out the backstory of what really happened with their mother, their father, and all the other characters associated with that. With these rules that they're always trying to follow, if they leave the trench, they have the boogeyman for the village that they grew up in the trench, which they call the snowman, where if you leave the trench, he will come and get you and come and get the village. Well, what happens when they come back to their village after they have gone on their hunt? someone must have left the trench because the snowman has arrived and everyone in their village has been killed. This then sends them on their big adventure on what's going to happen, on their discoveries, and how they as sisters need to stick together. As a family, they need to stick together. They may need to let go. There is a lot to this book. There's such good family dynamics in this. It really tugs at the heartstrings as a father, especially dealing with possibly losing your kids possibly losing their father. It's really rough at times, but you know what? It really hit the notes that it needed to hit, and it hit them well. And that is about all I can say about this story, because otherwise it's just giving away far too much. I'll talk about the reasons why later after we've finished this part of the overview. So like I said before, the art is done by Jock, and he brings his A game to this. I love Jock's line work. It is so thick, but it also has all these little wispy details, and the snow in this book is just phenomenal. You can feel the gusts of wind, and you can really, really feel the cold. There's very little color in this book outside of the blue and the stark whites and grays. There is blood red, and outside of some other things that I can't talk about without spoiling too much, that is about all the color in the book, sans, like I said, the stuff I can't talk about without giving it away. Jock absolutely crushes it in this and brings you along for the ride and demonstrates that emotion that I mentioned earlier between the father and his daughters, and the daughters together. Not only can you feel the emotion between the characters, but you can feel the environment and its harshness. And man, I was sitting in front of my fireplace at home, nice and toasty warm, but dang, did it feel cold. And it gave me that feeling of just bitter coldness growing up in Wisconsin, where it was, negative 60 below, and you just couldn't go outside because it was that cold. That's the kind of feeling I got out of this book. It's a great book. It's a great read. Very fun, super interesting plot points and twists, and it is always being pushed forward by the snowman, by the chase, by the environment, by the story itself, and hooks you into figuring out if these three truths that they are living by are real and if they will actually keep them safe. For extras in this book, there's some great cover art gallery pieces along with some character sketches and descriptions and how they went about designing them. There's some really nice breakdowns of panels and pages, along with some not just cover art gallery, but some very early cover ideas, and just some all-around nice extras in how the pages and the book came together. Alright, so that was an overview of Snow Angels. Hope it intrigued you. This book is really hard to do an overview of because I don't like to give away any spoilers, and there's so much in this book art-wise, because Lemire tells a lot through his visuals and through just not a lot of word and dialogue a lot of times. And he lets Jock's art speak for itself, which it very much does. So one, it's really hard to be able to show this book and not give away much. There's a lot in this overview that I did not show, that I did not talk about. There's a lot more other color palettes going on, but with that, I can't really show it because it would give away a lot of the story. And there's a lot more interesting story plot points, but you can't really talk about them. You can't really show them again because there's so much that it gives away. And this story is so just kind of step by step driven as they're being chased by the snowman, and it reveals new truths and new plot developments along the way, and you can't really show it or talk about it much without giving a lot of it away. And I don't like giving away spoilers. I don't like doing that at all. I try and keep my overviews super high level, so it's really hard to talk about this book. Hopefully it intrigues you enough and Jock's art pulls you in. There's a lot more to his art, but like I said, I can't show it. without giving it away. So this is very much as bare bones, no spoiler overview as I can get, while trying to also show it off and talk about it and hopefully intrigue you and bait you into buying it. Because if it's Jock and if it's Lemire, Lemire is one of my favorite creators. Jock is one of the best artists out there working in the industry right now. I mean, there's not much more to say about it because it's just so cool. But I had been waiting for so long for this book with Substacks and all that kind of stuff, and seeing it come out monthly and that kind of stuff. And man, I wanted to read it so badly. But I am so glad that I waited and got to read it in this physical edition, especially this library edition. Is so nice, and it's got like this nice kind of soft matte feel to the texture of the dust jacket. Under the dust jacket's the exact same image, so I didn't really show that off because it's the same thing, just with the dust jacket. It is a gorgeous edition. The paperweight is super nice. Y'all, it's great, and it's not expensive at all, which is super cool. Especially if you're buying it through like a store like OPB, you can use code Omnibuddy, $2 off every order. You could use, if you're buying 3 or more books at the same time that are all gonna ship together, you could use code Omnibuddy, ship it together, all one word, for 5% off your entire order. It helps support the channel, and you get some great books at a great price from a great company like OPB. But that's really it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notification. I'm going to be doing a lot more overviews, a lot more coming up. I think the next one I'm going to be doing is the Lone Wolf and Cub Gallery Edition. It's right over here. It's staring at me. That thing is enormous. So make sure to subscribe so you can get all these overviews that I'm doing, trying to show off these books and talk about them more. But that's it. Don't forget to comment. I say like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all that stuff, but commenting is the coolest thing. It's the best thing. I love talking with you all about what you're reading. What is your favorite? You know, I love Lemire and all that, but what's your favorite Jock book that he is on for artists? Is it something like Snow Angels? Is it, you know, absolute Black Mirror? Or I guess not necessarily absolute, but Black Mirror. What Jock book do you think is his like best book out there in your opinion? Yeah, we all got our own opinions, and different art speaks to us in different ways. So let me know in the comments. Love talking with you all. That's it. Take care. Stay cool.